toughest part. What would you guys? Somebody wants to take lead on that. What would you say the toughest part of being a realtor is?
Trying to separate.
Okay, I was gonna go along those lines. I'm on the phone all the time, and I feel like part of my problem, like you just said, trying to separate is like I won't put it down. Like if you call me at 9, it's terrible to say, and I shouldn't admit this. I'm gonna answer.
Same.
Yeah.
Like, and part of me is like, yes, it's a good thing because it'll bring me business. But on the same hand, like, I have a wife and kids at home too, and like you try to separate. I even said to you yesterday, I was at the Mets game with my kids, just my 2 older ones, and I'm on the train texting him, I need a pre-approval for this and I need that, and it's like I couldn't put the phone down for 2 hours,
Right.
you know. So that's my biggest issue.
I think, I guess the waves of it and the cycles, and I think over the years, over my career, I've gotten used to it. But I know early on, I used to, you'd have weeks where you were like overwhelmed with how much stuff you have to do and how many people are calling you, how many deals you're trying to put together. And then you might have 2 weeks where nothing's going on. You're like, you get freaked out and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And then you try and hustle like a business, and all of a sudden it's just like keeps going up and down. I think like now I'm kind of more used to it, so now I get to enjoy the times where I'm like I have a down week and I'm not taking 5 buyers out and I can kind of relax a little bit. But I think it takes a long time to get used to that up and down kind of cycle of it.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt.
I like the craziness of it. I do. I'm obsessed with working. I'm addicted to my phone. So it is what it is.
Listen, I mean that's. I mean, you have to have that mentality, and like you already, I pick up from all of you that you have that self-starter mindset. Like when you're saying like, to me, if you're in sales and you are slow, and I've talked to all you about it, it's like all of a sudden that panic button goes in, and you're like, all right, where's my next meal coming from? And I think there's good parts of that. I mean, it could be stressful, but if you could work through it. And what I always love, and I equate the mortgage business to be kind of similar, is that like you are, for better or worse, you're in control of your own destiny, right? You know what I mean? And I do think a lot of times there's a direct correlation, right, between the harder you work and hopefully the more money that you make.
Sure.
So
it's a chaos. You wind up fielding phone calls, answering texts, and to go back to you picking up a phone at 9 o'clock at night, that's my favorite type of agent, because the difference between you and the other guy that doesn't pick up his phone calls, he's going to forget about you in the morning.
Oh, for sure.
You're going to leave a message, you're going to text, and then come 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, if you don't follow up with that person that doesn't pick up the phone, you're not going to be successful.
Correct.
So you got to stay in their face, and that's why I like working with agents like you. You pick up, you get me my answer, I go back, I relay info. But it is a chaotic life, and I would, if I can go back, say these are my working hours. I shut it off at 7 o'clock, and then it's family time, unless I segregate time for my children and say, look, we're hanging out from 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock, and then I'll answer some phone calls and text. I think you have to set boundaries in this industry.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I've done that, where like I've had people, an agent will like, Saturday afternoon, you get that call, hey, I need to get this person pre-approved. And it happens, but sometimes you're just like, I question though, like, do people think like, you're like, do they think that as a mortgage person that, I'm the, the weekend loan officer, that I'm like sitting in an office from 9 to 5. So sometimes, honestly, I've taken, video where, I've said, hey, listen, more than happy to help you. I'm sending over my link to complete the application. I'm here, with my kids, just want to kind of let you know that, and not in a condescending way or whatever, but, letting people know that you're real people, that you actually have a life, and that you're not
but
just
I'm sure they appreciate that.
Yeah, well, you hope so. You hope so. But like in my business, my fear is like, that you're getting the call because they're big bank, the big box bank loan officer that is at, a big, institution that does work 9 to 5 and isn't available on the weekend, that you're not just getting used for, the pre-approval, just like, you guys might get used to, go show a home, because somebody else isn't available, and then you show them one time and then they're leaving you. But that's one of the toughest things too, right? Is the loyalty factor.
Well, I think part of the fear too is that like, I don't want to not. There's a million of us. Like, if I don't answer the phone, someone else will. And like, from my standpoint, like if I tell you no, like going back to what you just said about like your calendar and your soccer game, I always ask, like, if I have a conflict, do you have to go at this time, or can we do something else? Because if you say yes, I have to, I'm gonna call someone that I know will. Hey, I'll send my assistant with you, but at the end of the day, you're still my client. So like I'm I don't ever want to turn down business, but you know, I think that there's a million people out there that aren't afraid to do that, and I think that might be what separates 5 of us from other people.
Yeah.
Kind of like they're saying is it's pretty interesting. Is like a lot of stuff is the general public doesn't see what goes on with real estate agents and behind the scenes, and like Dan said, is like when you're doing a deal or putting an offer, I'm like it really having a good agent represent you is really important. Not just because they know what they're doing and they can help you through it, everything, but other agents. It's kind of like it's a big community, but it's a community, and you get to know who does a good deal and who's good to work with, and like if I know I'm putting in an offer to one of Dan's listings, I know Dan's going to get back to me and be good to work with, and we're going to communicate and everything. Compared to, and a lot of general public doesn't realize that. They kind of just think like it just happens, but there's a lot of steps in between there. And if someone has an agent who isn't available or doesn't return calls, or I just had one where I was trying to talk to them about something very important, and I get to their voicemail, and their voicemail's full, and for the whole afternoon, and texting doesn't work. So a lot of people don't realize how important it is to have an agent who's really on top of it and staying on top of things.
Well, especially in this market, right? I mean, like things are just happening lightning fast. And it's like, I know things are starting to maybe slow up a little bit, but for the past 6-12 months, I mean, it's been, if you're not getting your offer in right away or, whatever, I mean, it's just, things happen so quick. So you have to be able to be ready to execute.